What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Marvel's Wolverine. It's been long enough. I mentioned it in the kind of recap of the PlayStation Showcase video, but I haven't given this game its own video yet, and for that, I apologize, and that's why I'm doing it right now. No, this is something that's been around the internet. I've seen other, even content creators on YouTube talk about this, but I want to throw my hat in the ring, talk about that, the rating of the game. There's a lot more you can talk about, and I do think, we'll obviously do that as time goes on. However, because it's so early in development, I really, we're not going to see it for it's going to go dark, trust me, for a very, very long time. So, we have a lot of waiting time. But the rating is something that's really kind of sparked the internet, right? What is it going to be rated? Now, there's a couple things that are kind of negative, like go against it, and then there's some positives that go for it. One of the main things people originally found to go against it is, I believe, Marvel Games, there's a Twitter, like an official Twitter account for like all of Marvel's games. And in the description of their Twitter, it says the ESRB ratings that they kind of play in, and it does not go to M. Like, it goes to T for teen. You know what I mean? So that's the first thing people pointed out where it's like, not a good sign. Not a good sign. Number two is obviously we have Spider-Man. Now, that's not the best, that's kind of where it ends. I would honestly say the fact of, their official, whatever you want to call it, right? But how they officially go about things, they don't really play around in that M territory. And then number two, you look at Spider-Man, and it's like, well, would they do a Wolverine? Because it's Insomniac, right? So same teams, like, would they do that? So there's those questions. However, you look on the flip side of things, not, I would say, dead giveaways it's going to happen, but definitely more of okay, maybe it's possible. The first one is kind of what everybody's saying. I believe it was the creative director of the studio or the team that's making the game. He talked about how it's going to be like a full game, like this is not a Miles-size game, which I don't really know why anybody thought it would be or why he'd even have to answer that question, but he did. It would be a full game, and it would be a mature tone. They're going for a mature tone. Now, that does not mean it's M4 mature. It just means they're going I know it's weird. It's a weird answer. I don't like necessarily even the answer because it gets people excited as if it's 100% for sure now, even though it's well, you can still tell a dark, you could still push the envelope, but you don't have to go all the way. However, I don't know. You look at games that try to go like that, even The Last of Us being a good example, right? You look, I mean Logan and The Last of Us 1, very similar, and I know that's a movie compared to a game, but let's be honest, right? And I think everybody has said this. In order to make Wolverine the game what it should be, it needs to be M-rated. Yeah, I just watched Venom for the first time, right? And I actually really liked it. That's kind of a side thing, but it's it needed to be R-rated. They're just missing something, and you can clearly see it. And again, I know that's very different, but I would imagine if we're playing a Wolverine game and it's T for teen, and we're just out there playing it, it's Insomniac, it's going to be good. The lowest it can be is good, I would imagine, unless they absolutely bomb. But, really, that's, I don't even know how high it could go. This is well, you couldn't have swearing, you can't have blood, you can't have any, dismembering of anything, right? So it's you can only go so far with that. Now, another thing that people have pointed out that I don't know if everybody has seen is, I believe if you go on PlayStation's website to watch the trailers, okay, you watch the trailers on their own website, Spider-Man 2, okay, Marvel Spider-Man 2, you don't have to do anything. You click on it, you watch it. Wolverine, you have to put in your birth date. So, and obviously that means 18 and up. So that's a really good sign. I would say that's maybe more influential to me in terms of how I kind of see it than the creative director saying something. And that would be for me the main thing that I look at. I've said it. Actually, I made an entire video on it, right? That I kind of like the diversity of these Marvel games, and now they've just added one more to it. It's not just, because in that video, all I really talked about was different studios, different mechanics of playing the game. Again, I don't love Avengers, but it is what it is, and people do love it. Some people love it, and that's awesome, right? But maybe they're not gonna like Midnight Suns, and maybe they don't like Spider-Man. You know what I mean? These are all very different games. Now, I do think Wolverine would be very similar to Spider-Man. That actually may be disappointing to some, but I think it's kind of obvious just because that's just what it's going to be. I'm not saying it's literally a clone, you're going to skin the Spider-Man and you're going to steal the assets and make it Wolverine, but I would imagine it being relatively, close to it. But again, really, that's why you need to make it M-rated. You know what I mean? This is kind of like a side thing. You need to do it so that it's not compared too much, in my opinion, to Spider-Man, because if he plays even somewhat similar, or the fighting is similar, I'm not saying you can't do that. In fact, it makes the most sense. If it's not broke, don't fix. You know, I mean, the fighting in Spider-Man's amazing. If you could, tweak it a little bit, change it a little bit for Wolverine, but keep it, somewhat similar, that's fine if that's the way that they choose to go. But still, then you're always going to have the comparisons to Spider-Man. But if you make it M, now you're having blood, you're having you're having the stuff that comes with being an M-rated game. So again, it's not even a discussion of like, should it be? It should be, and it needs to be M-rated. And I just hope they go for it. But again, like even what I was saying with the gameplay, hopefully, and this has not been proven yet, right? They've made a statement, and they've clearly been doing stuff behind the scenes where it's like, okay, they are going to diversify. They're going to give it to different studios, even though Insomniac gets to double dip, right? They're going to try out different heroes and different styles. Again, Midnight Suns is different from Avengers, which is different from Spider-Man, etc., etc. Like, they're all different, but one thing you need to also experiment with is, these are all different games. Really go for it. Really prove that these are all very different games. Because I would actually say that circles back to, you don't want Wolverine and Spider-Man being too close to each other. I get it because of Insomniac, same studio, but making them different tones. If you really did an M-rated Wolverine game, think of all the stuff, again, as we've just talked about, that comes with that. I mean, it's just that alone, without the style being any different, without even the characters, even if you had like a Spider-Man game, you know what I mean? Like anything being an M-rated, that immediately changes so much about the game. It does. It really does. It doesn't, in my opinion, influence sales or like whether people would get it or not because now it's got blood or because now there's like an age rating. I really don't. As time goes on, that matters, especially with like everything being digital. They're going towards that, right? It means substantially less than it's ever meant before. You know what I mean? So that alone, just being M-rated, opens you up as a game developer to being able to do so many different things you couldn't do if it's T for teen. So I really hope it is. It's really the biggest thing. I get why it's the biggest thing people are talking about with Wolverine. There's other things, and we can definitely talk about those as time goes on. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. If you want me to talk about something specific with Wolverine or even Spider-Man, I can definitely do it. Let me know, what kind of topics you want to see, and I can do that over the coming weeks. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Make sure you guys have the bell icon turned on so you see when all these videos are going up. We've been doing a lot of them. We've been doing really, really well, and I really want to thank you guys for all the support you've been giving me. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter or subscribe to my second channel or support us on Patreon or YouTube memberships, links for all of them are in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.